Well, hey folks, real lawsuit which I'm wrestling 7 times that Impact Wrestling copied WWE. Or much like when I talk about WWE copying Impact Wrestling, I'm just flipping it around basically. Every wrestling company has copied from each other for decades, for whatever. So this really should come as no shock that companies copy each other. Sometimes it's like just reshaping something that worked. Sometimes it's just a blatant copy. And I'm not just blaming Impact Wrestling here. So many other companies have done it. And this is mostly during the Dixie Carter administration, as the new administration has done a whole lot of good shit. Some shit maybe I don't agree with, but by and large has done better shit than they have done in the last few years, despite how good the talent is. So this is not knocking the current administration. But anyway, let's get right into it with number 7, copying Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth's wedding with Jay Lethal, SoCal Val, and I believe what they had Coco Beware, they had Jake Roberts there. I want to say Kamala was there, but I don't remember. But I know Coco Beware and Jake Roberts were there for sure. But it was just a blatant copy. Of course it was. And you had Sanjay Dutt do his expected heel turn because, of course, he was going to do that. It's not that this was bad. Everybody played their roles just fine. It did go on a bit long and was a bit ridiculous. And again, pretty much just a blatant copy. But this was just one where I'm like, okay, you don't even try to hide it. Now, it was done for laughs. It was done for fun. I'm not going to fault Impact for that, or any of the performers here, but it just was pretty much a blatant fucking ripoff. Not that weddings are entirely original WWE, but just the components here and everything. It was pretty much just a fucking copy. Let's be perfectly honest. Was it a good copy? Jake Roberts didn't unleash his cobra on anybody. Gross. Thankfully, Jake Roberts has recovered and gotten completely healthy thanks to DDP Yoga and DDP himself, and even helps get Scott Hall in good shape. That's a good job there. So now we go to number 6, and this one's a lot more blatant. You had the recreation of the Montreal Screwjob at Slammiversary 2006 in the King of the Mountain match, where Earl Hebner was the referee. Earl screwed Brett. Well, I mean, as commentary said. But you had Larry Zbyszko, Earl Hebner, and Jeff, playing the part of like officials that helped screw Christian Cage out of the NWA World Title and gave it back to Jeff Jarrett, and it was not very good. And it isn't that there was anything wrong with those components. Nothing wrong with Larry Zbyszko, one of the best, definitely one of the best heels, even though he became a really good babyface in WCW. Especially in his announcer days, where he was wrestling a little bit mainly an announcer, but the crowd just gave him such respect. Nothing wrong with Larry Zbyszko, nothing wrong with Earl Hebner, nothing wrong with Hebner. I always say Hebner. Nothing wrong with Jeff Jarrett in this incarnation. Even though Jeff Jarrett at times made himself champion a few too many times, he was still pretty much the owner of the company, so he knew he wasn't going to walk out. But recreating this was just not good, and it was screwing over another Canadian, because apparently, I guess, Christian Cage being Canadian and all. It was just not a very good recreation, because then it just led to Jeff Jarrett having one more title run. I don't think he had another title run after this. Then he lost it to Sting at Bound for Glory 06, but it kind of undercut Christian Cage, and it took him, it only took him a number of months to get back to the title, but then he lost it in May of 07, and then did never regain it. It wasn't really that good. That this was pretty ridiculous. The crowd really did not like it, and not because a heel won, but just because they could see it coming a mile away, and they weren't very happy, and I don't know. It is what it is. It's one thing to get heel heat, but it was pretty stupid how they did it. And then number 5, Immortal. Yes, this is more ripping off the NWO, and the NWO was a WCW creation, and DX was just an NWO ripoff, and not a very good one, and I will fight anybody if they disagree. Kidding, I won't fight anybody. You can have your opinion if you want. Immortal was just trying to recreate another stable with Hogan and Bischoff at the forefront. And I'm not even knocking Bischoff here. I'm not. He had his role in Impact and he did what he did. Not knocking him. I'll put it on Hogan, because Hogan just should not have been featured on TV all that much. He should have been featured as a Jack Tunney-like authority figure. Maybe featured just a bit more, but should have been wrestling in the damn ring, especially in 2010, 2011. And in a 6-man tag in 2012. Hogan wrestled as recently as 2012. That's scary. But anyway, Immortal, it had so many damn members. It was ridiculous. It had a heel Jeff Hardy, which didn't work. It could have worked, but it didn't, because nobody wanted to boo Jeff Hardy. Yeah, Bully Ray had Scott Steiner for a bit. It had Gunner in there. Um, Gunner and Murphy? Was it Gunner and Murphy? I know it was Gunner. I don't remember who the other guy was, and that's unfortunate because he wasn't a bad guy. But Immortal was just this hodgepodge of just guys that they put in there. And yeah, they had some younger guys that they did nothing with. Immortal was just a really bad NWO type ripoff. And yeah, I could throw Aces and Eights here if I wanted. They were more ripping off Sons of Anarchy and that kind of stuff, which was popular at the time. I'm not gonna. I'll throw Aces. I would throw Aces and Eights in as an honorable mention. They were more ripping off a TV, TV show than anything else. A TV show ripping off another TV show. That never happens. But yeah, Immortal was just. It was just another Hogan ego trip. It was just Hogan stroking his ego. Have fun on seeing that. I'm gonna go throw up after this video. But yeah, Immortal was bad. It was just really, really bad. And Flair was in there, and it just... I don't fault any legends for trying to stick around in wrestling, and I will eventually have a rant about legends or veterans being used the right way when it is time for veterans to walk away, basically. I'm working on the title there, but it'll be about veterans and how some are still really good in the ring and some just should have retired years ago. But yeah, Immortal was really shit. It just was. The music was shit. It was not a good stable. It was NWO 3.0, 5.0, whatever. It just was not a good stable and didn't get anybody over. It didn't get anybody over. I mean, think back to Bound for Glory 2011. You had Sting and Hogan in that terrible match that I didn't expect to be very good, let's be honest. But my God, it was so overbooked and so ridiculous. And oh God, it was so terrible. Now I have tried to lock memories of that out of my head. But anyway, now we go on to number 4, which is kind of a companion piece of number 5, bringing in Hogan and Flair. I get bringing in Bischoff. I get bringing. I have a bit of a soft spot for Eric Bischoff, as I happen to think that he's a bit more of a genius than people give him credit for. At least that's my opinion. I personally found Eric Bischoff to be very charismatic on TV and interviews. I've listened to his 83 Weeks podcast here and there. I like what he does. But on TV, I don't know. I didn't mind them bringing in Bischoff, but it's like when they brought in Hogan and they made it just like where it's clearly going to be trying to go backwards instead of forwards with the product. It just didn't work, and they brought in Flair. They brought in Jeff Hardy, which was a good idea. They bring in some good talents, but bringing in Nasty Boys, that certainly didn't help. Bringing in the older stars really should be the whole point of this, because Hogan was past his prime. Flair had been retired for a little bit. It was bad. Bringing in the Nasty Boys was a bad idea. Bringing in Val Venus in 2010 was a really bad idea because he didn't do anything. There were just a lot of older stars. Bringing in Scott Steiner didn't bother me because at least he could still move somewhat well, but also he did put over people when needed. And there were people that Hogan did not put over anybody. Oh, he put over Sting. Okay, Sting didn't need to be put over. The whole thing with the Abyss was absolute bullshit. Flair did more to put people over. Flair at least, worked with Fortune, which was a new 4 horsemen that ended up somehow having 6 or 7 people in it. Oh God, Dixie, why could you not do math? Good God, Dixie, how are you so fucking stupid? I can't get over how fucking stupid she is. And how much she helped ruin Impact Wrestling. Thankfully, again, they have rebranded and they are doing better. Even if I'm not able to keep up on it much, a lot of you guys, especially some of you that watch my videos, keep me up to date on, posting articles, doing your own reviews and stuff like that, and I really appreciate it. Because reviewing WWE and New Japan is pretty exhausting to do, especially with a full-time job. So, back to Hogan and Flair and older stars. It was a bad idea. It made Impact seem second rate. It slapped everybody in the face that worked really hard to make that company bigger. It just did no good. The ratings barely improved, and the production values went way up. And and then they went on the road with Impact. And if they had marketed it better, they actually probably would have drawn some bigger crowds. They drew bigger crowds, but not compared to what the cost was. They should have toured Florida to gain more buzz, towards some old armories and stuff like that in Florida, and maybe gone up to like Georgia and stuff like that, and a little bit of Alabama, but not gone all the way up to like Vince's Land, New York, and that kind of stuff, and other areas. I mean, touring the southern states wasn't a bad idea, but they had no plan and it didn't work. And again, just bringing in the older stars is ridiculous. This is about 3 points in number 4. But anyway, number 3, TNA Hardcore Justice, which was just a copy of ECW One Night Stand, which is a WWE thing that WWE copied from ECW. Big shock. ECW helped win the Monday Night Wars for WWE. Let's not forget that. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of ECW, they did help do that. TNA Hardcore Justice wouldn't have been a bad idea, except for the fact that they couldn't get the rights to the names. Half the talents weren't there. Some of the talents weren't able to even fucking wrestle anymore. And it could have worked, but then they did the EV 2.0 thing, and oh, good God, that was terrible. No matter how talented the people were, it was just a goddamn bad idea. But yeah, this was really, really bad. It was not a very good show. I'm not saying the talents didn't try, but it was not a very good show. Really wasn't. It did hurt. It did hurt, the newer people they had there, the ECW originals that they brought in. I mean, really, besides RVD, Dreamer had a little bit left. Sabu certainly didn't. Stevie Richards still had plenty left. I don't know why he was never used better, because he certainly is somebody that they could have used a ton better. In fact, a lot of companies besides ECW could have used Stevie Richards better. But after the right to censor thing, was he ever really used all that well in WWE or any company? No. And it's sad, because Stevie Richards is a really good performer. And still in more than quality shape for the age that he is, and proving that age is just a goddamn number if you really put your mind to it. Yeah, TNA Hardcore Justice, I didn't care for. Because it didn't do anything for anybody, and it fizzled out so goddamn quickly. Number 2, Dixie Carter's GM, which is a blatant copy of Stephanie. And not that Stephanie was a wholly original thing, but she was the boss's daughter, this kind of stuff, and all this, and whatever, and Stephanie's an idiot. Stephanie's an idiot. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Say the word, she's a goddamn cunt. She's a goddamn stupid cunt. God, I can't stand Stephanie. And Stephanie will probably be featured on WWE TV more. Ridiculous. But Dixie Carter was somehow worse. Because Stephanie, at least occasionally, can put passion into the product, even as she's slapping male superstars around, as I almost run out of breath. Dixie Carter she had more of a deer in the headlights look than Jim Crockett Jr., who, at least you could tell, had a business sense. Dixie just didn't. Dixie was an idiot. And I've said that a few times on this. Dixie's a goddamn idiot. And her as GM or head of the show or whatever title they gave her, her playing a heel and lean into the hate didn't bother me, but if she had even an ounce of charisma, it would have worked. She didn't. I mean, yeah, they built up the whole thing where Bully Ray put her through the table, which should have wrote her off TV forever, so she never appeared. I don't know. I mean, and Dixie did some interviews for like a Kurt Angle piece on WWE Network. I still have a bit of an issue with Dixie not paying the medical bills of the vast majority of talents. It's not like Dixie didn't have the money. It's not like she couldn't have ponied up. But no, you know what? It's the wrestler's fault for getting injured, apparently. Yeah, Dixie's GM was just rubbish. I was going to go off on a Dixie Carter rant if I don't stop myself. So I'm going to stop myself from that and go to number 1, the Feast or Fired briefcases. Come the fuck on. It was the Money in the Bank briefcase concept, which just wasn't even wholly original. Money in the Bank was mostly original, but Feast or Fired, it was just a way to do an X Division, a tag title, or a world title shot. And okay, then they had the Fire briefcase. It was just a way to write people off TV, which maybe instead of doing that, you could have just wrote them off TV. You could have just had them have a loser leaves, the company match or something. But no, let's humiliate them with the Fired briefcase. I don't know. I just never liked the concept. It wouldn't have mattered what company did it. WWE could have done it. I mean, New Japan, any company could have done it. And I would have thought it was a bit tasteless. And I will have some wrestling's more tasteless videos up probably later this month. early next month, something like that. At the Feast Friday briefcase concept, the first time I saw it, I'm just like, this is stupid. It's stupid. It was like the San Francisco 49ers match. You remember there was whatever the hell it was, the whole thing with the wooden boxes, where one of the wooden boxes had the WCW title. Oh, it was a Russo idea, so of course it was shit. But then again, let's be honest, and I'm not even dumbing on Russo. Nothing was going to save WCW by that point, because Time Warner didn't want it, and they were bound and determined to sink the damn company. So I don't think anybody on creative could have fucking saved it. But Feast or Fired, absolute shit. One of the worst things that Impact has done. Because the whole cash-in thing, I mean, Drew cashing in at one point on Matt Hardy was what it was. It just... It just wasn't good because it was such a blatant copy, and it wasn't even done all that well. A lot of the Feast or Fired things didn't work out all that well, and if they did, they cashed in and won the championship. I think Jay Lethal had a tag title, cash-in contract. Cash it in. I think him and Xavier Woods, as Consequences Creed at the time, won the tag titles, and I think they lost them like a week later. Or a couple weeks later, and I'm just like, oh, great, that really advanced the whole damn storyline. That was a great idea. The concept could have worked if they actually would have invested time in it and actually made the champions matter, but they didn't. Sometimes people would forget that the briefcases even existed. Probably because Dixie was as empty as one of those damn briefcases. Just not any good. It really wasn't. But anyway, let me just say this much. In closing, Impact Wrestling currently is doing a lot of good shit. But this is about some of the bad shit and the copycat shit that they did. So if you guys enjoyed, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. This has been Real Honesty with John Ritland, and I will see you soon.